Welcome to the lecture number 23 of the course. So in lecture number 22, I started with the advantages of the HVDC system and classification of the HVDC system, where we said the HVDC systems, they are classified depending upon the application or depending on the purpose. Where I said that this HVDC system is categorized into three categories. One is depending upon the application. One is bulk power transmission over a longer distance. So I told you that this type of HVDC system is only possible in countries with large geographical area, and here the purpose is to transfer the power over longer distance, means the purpose is economy. The second category was the back-to-back HVDC link, where I told that here the purpose is the control of power, and I told you that back-to-back means that the converter and the inverter substations, they are very close to each other. They may be 50 meters apart, or they may be in the same substation. The third was the modulation of AC, where we were saying that for increasing the reliability of a weak AC link, we are using a HVDC link in parallel with that weak AC link. So that is called as the modulation of AC. I also discussed certain advantages of HVDC, like no reactive power loss, means there is no X, so no reactive power loss, because reactive power loss is given by the formula I square XL minus V square divided by XC. So this reactive power loss is zero in case of a DC system. No stability problem. I told you in case of AC, the stability, it is the rotor angle stability delta, which comes into picture. And before the system can reach to its thermal stability, that rotor angle stability, it comes into picture. Because of this rotor angle stability, the power transfer is restricted. We cannot transfer bulk power because delta is normally operated between 25 to 35 degree. So this was another problem. However, in case of a DC, there is no delta, because the power is given by the formula simply by VDC into IDC. So no stability problem in DC. The only limit that will govern the power transfer in DC is the thermal limit. Okay. Then no charging current. I told you that there is no capacitance between the conductor and the ground in case of a DC. So no charging current attached. So no charging current. Then no Faraday and skin effect. Skin effect, you know what is skin effect. In case of a AC, we say that the current has a tendency to flow through the outer strands of the conductor, and the current through the inner strands of the conductor is zero. So that is why we say resistance of AC is greater than resistance of DC. Why? Because the frequency in DC is zero, and this resistance, it depends upon frequency as well. This was no skin effect. So in DC there is no skin effect, and no Faraday effect. No Faraday effect means I will show it here. This is my sending end voltage. This is my receiving end. So because of the charging current, because of the capacitance, some current will flow through the capacitor. This Faraday effect takes place only in case of a lightly loaded system, and the reason for this is the capacitance that is formed between the conductor and ground. So in case of a DC, there is no capacitance, so no charging current. There will be no charging current, so there will be no Faraday effect. So, but whereas in case of AC, due to charging current, we say that receiving end voltage becomes higher than the sending end voltage, and as the line length increases, the Faraday effect becomes more predominant. So what we do, how can we reduce this Faraday effect? So suppose we are saying that the voltage at this end is higher than the voltage at this end, means reactive power here is more as compared to the reactive power here. So how can we reduce the reactive power here? Simply by using compensation, by using reactor here. Suppose I am saying that I have one bus here. So I am saying this is VR, this is VS. So if the voltage here is more as compared to the voltage here, what I can do, I can simply use a reactor here, or here. this reactor, it is attached to the line, that is why it is called a line reactor, and this reactor, it is attached to a bus, and this reactor is called bus reactor. Bus reactor, line reactor. So by using these reactors, we can control the voltage at the receiving end. So in case of a DC, and these reactors, they are costly, means we have to use additional equipment for controlling the voltage. So that is why we say in case but in case of DC, we say voltage, there is no Faraday effect, so we don't need these reactors in case of this DC system. Okay. Then power flow control is possible by means of power flow. What I am trying to say, power flow control is possible, and this power flow, we can control the power flow in a very smooth manner. Okay. We cannot control the power in DC by varying both the voltage and the current. However, we prefer the constant current mode of operation, where we only change the voltage. Okay, because simply by changing the firing angle alpha, we change the voltage level, or this way we can control the voltage. In case of AC, power was given by AC voltage into AC current multiplied by power factor. If you can see, in case of AC, we always keep the voltage constant. And for controlling the power, how can we control? By controlling the current, IAC. However, in DC, we are controlling the voltage. That is why I am showing it by an arrow, means we can vary the voltage. And this voltage, it can be varied, it cannot be varied only from 0 to its maximum value. It can be varied from 0 to its minimum value. Okay, which allows us a two-coordinate operation of this HVDC system. I'm saying this is the current and this is the voltage. So voltage can be varied from 0 to positive, maximum positive and maximum negative value. So it gives us two-coordinate operation of this HVDC system, which is shown here like this. Okay, in this case, we are changing the voltage and making the voltage negative, so power will be obviously negative. What do you mean by power negative? Power negative means reversal of power. Power flow can be reversed by controlling the voltage, which can be controlled by controlling the firing angle alpha. So by that is why we are saying that a power flow is possible, control is possible, and power control can be controlled both in the positive direction as well as in the negative direction. And this can be achieved, and this way we can achieve the power reversal with HVDC link by simply controlling the voltage. So here I am saying that we cannot control the power only up to its maximum value, but we can control the power up to its minimum value also, which is the negative. Means this is called as the power reversal, because if we will take a voltage in the negative quadrant, so it will give us a negative current here. So that means power flow has been reversed. I discussed some of the advantages like no reactive power loss, stability, charging current. I discussed it. Even power flow control, I discussed it yesterday, but I didn't discuss certain other features like no Faraday and skin effect, and other advantages like requires less space compared to AC for the same voltage and rating size. For the same voltage, we mean if we are saying that it is a DC, it is 400 kilovolt DC. Okay, it is a DC, 400 kilovolt DC. So what I am saying, for the same voltage rating, in AC, we say it will be the 400 kilovolt RMS. So this is a 400 kilovolt RMS in AC will produce the same effect as the 400 kilovolt in DC. But we have to design the system. We cannot design the system. I am saying 400 kilovolt RMS. So the AC is like that. So whenever we design AC, we design it for the peak value, this value, peak value. So what will be the peak? If it is 400 kilovolt is the RMS, peak will be 400 multiplied by root 2 kilovolt. It is the peak, which will be the peak value. So means if we are designing it for a 400 kV DC, we will have to design it, in the case of AC, we will have to design it for 400 multiplied by root 2 kilovolt for the peak value. Obviously this value will be more. So for that, if we are designing a tower or insulator or anything, what will happen? The length of the cross arms will increase. The height of the tower will increase. No, because we are not designing it for 400 kV. We are designing it for 400 multiplied by root 2. That is the peak value. So this increases the cost. We need more space. Okay, so that is why it is written requires less space compared to AC for the same voltage rating and size. So it is if means we have to increase the length of the cross arm, we have to increase the distance means height of the tower. So it will incur some means extra cost. Also the foundation should be more strong because we have more weight of tower. No, so what will happen? It will increase the cost. Okay, of AC. So though the cost initial cost of the DC HVDC is more as compared to AC, but as the distance increases, AC DC becomes cheaper for longer distances. So next point, ground can be used as a return conductor. Simply by this I am saying that simply I have a conductor. We normally take a conductor of negative polarity. Okay, so this is a ground. So in case there is any disturbance in the system, this current will flow through the ground and the ground will act as a return path. Okay, but this is only in case of emergency because it will have certain effects on means if there are some other metallic bodies that are buried inside the earth, it will lead to the corrosion in those metallic bodies. Okay, so ground can be used as a return conductor but only during emergency condition. Okay, less corona loss, it I discussed it yesterday because corona loss is given by the formula which is proportional to, where we can say that corona loss is proportional to F plus 25, and in DC F is 0, so this corona loss will be 0. So I am saying it requires less space, so I can say it is cheaper for long distance transmission. Long distance transmission, I show you the graph where I showed you yesterday what is the break-even distance. Next, possible to connect two power system operating at different frequencies. Operating at different frequencies means I have a power system, one power system which is operating at suppose 49.5 hertz and the another power system which is operating at 50.5 hertz. So it is not possible to connect these two systems because both the systems are operating at different frequencies. So but if I am connecting these two systems by HVDC link, so frequency concept will no longer arise because the transmission, we are converting the AC to DC and we are transmitting the DC at the other station, that DC is converted into AC at different frequency level. Okay, so I am saying this means two system operating at different frequencies, they can be interconnected. So I am saying this asynchronous operation, asynchronous link, asynchronous operation is possible. Earlier it was not possible in case of this what I say in case of a AC system, but no, it is possible in case of a DC system. No switching transients means we don't have to switch on these our capacitor banks or compensating devices frequently in case of a DC. So no switching transients. And this switching transient, it was a big problem in case of this our AC system. Now the next point is advantages: no transmission of short circuit current. What do you mean by no transmission of short circuit current? Suppose this diagram, I am showing it again here. Okay, suppose there is a fault at this bus. I have three transmission lines, 1, 2, 3. What will happen? All the three transmission lines will contribute to the fault. Okay, so all the three transmission lines will contribute to the fault. Okay, so I will say the short circuit current here, it will be supplied from all the three lines. Suppose I am saying this is my fourth line which I am installing at this case. Now what will happen? Since all the lines are connected in parallel to this bus, so what will happen? What will happen to the impedance to the fault? If the lines are connected in parallel, so the line reactance decreases. Okay, because I am saying if one line has reactance of 2 ohm and I am using two lines in parallel, so the overall reactance will be 1 ohm. So the line reactance will decrease. If the reactance will decrease, so I will say the impedance to the fault will decrease. So the fault current here, it will increase further. So what will happen? Fault current will increase more, means there will be more short circuit current in AC. So in case I am using circuit breaker here, here and here. Okay, So these circuit breakers has a capacity to break the current maximum rating. Suppose I am saying 30 kilo ampere is the maximum rating. Now I am using another link here, or two or three more lines I am connecting to this bus. What will happen then? So maybe the short circuit current, it will go beyond 30 kilo ampere. Maybe it will go 45 kilo ampere. So these circuit breakers, they have a capacity to break a current of 30 kilo ampere, but the current is now 45 kilo ampere. So these capacitor may not be able to break this current and they may get damaged. Okay. So what we have to do, so when we are using another transmission line, so we have to change all the circuit breakers here at this bus, this bus, this bus. We have to use the capacitor circuit breakers of 45 kilo ampere, so which increases the cost. However, in case of DC, we are simply using a DC line here. Okay, so we have a switch at this end. So the moment there is fault, we simply reduce the pulses at this point. We will not supply any pulses at this point. So obviously, immediately the current in this link will become equal to 0. Means and we know that the action of these switching devices or semiconductor devices, they are very fast. Just remove the pulse and it will turn off. So if it will turn off, no current will be there. It will be open circuit. So it will not contribute any current here in that case. Okay, so we don't have to then, in that case, then we don't have to replace these 3 circuit breakers. Okay, because the current contributed by this, it is 0 under short circuit. So no need to replace these 3 circuit breakers. So this is called as no transmission of short circuit current. Means we can simply remove the pulses and we can make this link as open circuit and no current will flow from this line towards this fault point. Okay, that is what is called no transmission of short circuit current. However, in this case, what we do, if you want to add another line here, okay, what we do, we instead of this, sorry, if it is an AC line, if we want to add another line here, I'm showing it here. This is one. If I want to add this line here, so what I can do, I can use this technique. This is called bus splitting technique. Okay, if I will use this line here, so I am saying if a fault is here, then I have to replace all the circuit breakers. So another technique, and this replacement of circuit breaker, it is very costly. So to avoid this, we can use this technique here. This is called bus splitting technique. So instead of this bus, I'm using another bus where I'm connecting this bus and the new bus, so this line and the new line which I want to connect, I can connect it here. Okay, so in that case, if there is a fault at this bus, no need to replace the circuit breaker of these 3 buses. You have to just use circuit breakers of higher capacity here. Okay, no need to replace the circuit breakers of all the buses. You can use the circuit breakers, change the circuit breakers here only, means new circuit breakers here only. Instead of using 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe there may be 10 buses, you cannot change all the 10 circuit breakers. You have to change these 2 circuit breakers only. It means new circuit breakers. Then the next disadvantage is reduced short circuit current. Okay, this is the same, because I will remove the pulses and the current through this link, it will be 0. So the short circuit current will reduce. No compensation required, because we don't have to use this compensating devices. There is no Ferranti effect or no voltage, means sag swell in case of DC. So no compensation is required in DC. So fast fault clearing time. Fast fault clearing time, it is also, I told you that the operation is very fast. Simply there is a fault, remove the pulses. Remove the pulses immediately. This current through this link will become 0. Okay. However, in case of an AC, you can see first the fault is sensed by the our relays, and these relays, they send the signal to the circuit breakers to operate. And it may take few cycles for the circuit breaker to operate, because it is a mechanical device. Okay, so it may take 2, 3, 10 cycles to operate. If you remember the numerical which we solved in this power system stability, where I told you calculate the fault clearing time and the number of cycles. The number of cycles were 13.33 cycles. Means in AC still 13.33 cycles were required for the circuit breakers to remove the fault. However, in case of a DC, simply immediately remove the pulses and the link will be de-energized. So we can say the fault clearing time in DC system, it is very fast as compared to the AC system. Okay. So next, let us discuss some of the disadvantages of the transmission system, HVDC transmission, though it has certain advantages, but it has certain disadvantages as well. So the first disadvantage of the HVDC transmission system is that the cost of the terminal equipment is high. Though it is cheaper for longer distance, but the cost of the terminal equipments means the substations, the equipments that are used at the substations, like we have the converters, we have the converter transformers, harmonic filters. Okay, so the cost of the terminal equipment is high. It increases the cost of the equipment. Then the second is the introduction of harmonics into the system. Whenever you go for switching, means you turn on and off any power electronic device, the more you increase the switching, the more there will be harmonics in the system. So blocking of the reactive power is another disadvantage. So because this HVDC link, only active power flows in HVDC link and no reactive power flows in HVDC system. So that is why we say it is blocking of the reactive power, though reactive power is there is required at the converter and the inverter station, but in the transmission line there is no reactive power flow. No tapping is allowed. No tapping is allowed means we are designing the system for a constant current mode of operation. So point to point transmission is possible only, and tapping in between is not allowed. Though if you want to tap the current in between, then you have to use another terminal. Okay. No, the converters, they cannot be loaded beyond their overload capacity. Beyond their overload capacity, these are the semiconductor devices, that have a very limited overload capacity, and they cannot be loaded beyond that capacity. If you try to load the converters beyond that beyond their rated values, beyond their rated voltage and current, then it will get damaged. So it is, I say, that these converters, they cannot be loaded beyond their overload capacity, or I can say limited overload capacity. It is another disadvantage. Next is the converter terminals require large amount of reactive power. Though reactive power will not flow in the HVDC transmission line, but the reactive power is required at the converter terminals, that is at inverter and this converter station. So I will discuss them one by one. Cost of the terminal equipments. So cost of the terminal equipment is high because of the cost of inverter, and converter. We don't only need inverter and converter. That's the semiconductor switches or semiconductor devices. They need cooling systems. Okay. To cool them down, we need certain cooling systems. And the cost of the cooling system further increases the cost. Okay. Then we have to use filters for harmonics because we have different harmonics, and for filtering a particular harmonic, we need a specific filter, that is tuned filter. Tuned filter means if you want to remove the fifth harmonic, then we need a filter that has been designed to remove fifth harmonic only. And similarly for seventh harmonic, we need another filter. Same is the case with 11th and the 13th harmonic. So this increases the cost. Now the cost of the DC substation is more as compared to the cost of the AC substation. Okay. So because of these reasons, the cost of the terminal equipment is very high in case of DC. Now harmonic. So whenever there is switching, so harmonics are produced, and the harmonic component is given by the formula NP plus minus 1, where N is the integer and P is the pulse number or number of pulses. So for a 6 pulse converter, I am saying 6 pulse converter where P is equal to 6. I am taking N as 1. So what will be the harmonic component? Which harmonics will be present? So 6 plus 1, 7, and 6 minus 1, 5. 5 and 7. So for a 6 pulse converter, if I am taking in N equal to 2, it will be 12 minus 1, 11, and 13. So 5, 7, 11, 13. Such these harmonics will be present for a 6 pulse converter. So for a 12 pulse converter, what are the harmonics present? For a 12 pulse converter, the harmonics that will be present will be 11 and 13. And then if I will take N is equal to 2, 12 into 24 minus 1, 23 and 25, and so on. So these harmonics, which are obtained from this formula NP plus minus 1, these harmonics are called as the characteristic harmonics. Okay. So we also have non-characteristic harmonics in the system. Non-characteristic harmonics, we mean the harmonics which are generated due to the commutation overlap. Or commutation overlap, what we say, if one switch is conducting, no, after some time 60° we want the another switch to conduct, but due to some reason these switches, the current in the switch will not abruptly decrease and the current in the another switch will not abruptly increase, so there will be delay. Okay, so means current in one conductor will decrease but it will take some time, and the current in the other conductor will increase but it will take some time. So during that time both the current will be conducted by both the switches. Some portion of current will come from one switch and some portion of the current will be come from another switch. So because of that, other harmonics are also generated, and those harmonics are called as non-characteristic harmonic. So non-characteristic harmonics are due to conduction overlap of valves. Okay, whereas characteristic harmonics are given by the formula Np plus minus 1. So if we want to remove these harmonics, tuned characteristics harmonic 5, 7, 11, 13, we need tuned filters. Tuned filter means for fifth harmonic we need a filter to remove the fifth harmonic. For seventh harmonic we need filter. For 11th we also need filter. For 13th we again need a filter. So and these filters, they are very costly. So it is not possible to remove all the harmonics from the system. Okay, so because removing all the harmonics will escalate the cost to a very high level, so we only remove the harmonics which of higher magnitude. So the harmonics which are higher magnitude are those whose order is lower. So it is fifth order, seventh order, 11th order and 13th order. So the magnitude will be higher. It will be higher for fifth and seventh harmonics, same magnitude. It will be of higher magnitude, and the magnitude of 11th and 13th will be equal, but it will be of lower magnitude as compared to the fifth and the seventh. So increasing the order of the harmonic will reduce the size of the harmonic. So magnitude of the lower order harmonic is more as compared to the magnitude of the higher order harmonic. Like this is fundamental now. So we have seventh harmonic here and fifth harmonic here. So we have 13th harmonic here and 11th harmonic here. So if I will go further, maybe it will further reduce. It will further reduce. So lower the order, as you move away from the fundamental, order will increase but magnitude will decrease. Okay, so lower order harmonics have higher magnitude as compared to the higher order harmonics. So it is not possible to remove all the filters, all the harmonics from the this line. Okay, but some of the harmonics which are of higher magnitude, they need to be removed, because if these harmonics are not removed, these harmonics will then propagate into our AC system and causing troubles there. So to avoid those, we need to remove the higher order harmonics. So tuned filters are used to remove the particular harmonic. Therefore, it is not possible to remove all the harmonics. Okay. Next point is blocking of the reactive power. Blocking of the reactive power. You know that reactive power, it is a local phenomena, and this active power, it is a global phenomena. I also told you this in your previous semester. I don't know, previous or previous to previous semester, where I told you that voltages are this local phenomena and frequency is a general phenomena. So it is same as reactive power is a local phenomena and active power is a global phenomena. So reactive power cannot flow from one area to another area in case of a HVDC system, but we may need reactive power, suppose at this point, but we are not, this HVDC system, it is not able to supply reactive power from this point to this point. But at some time we may need reactive power here. Maybe there is voltage sag, so at that time we need reactive power here. But this at that time maybe there is surplus reactive power here, but this power cannot flow through this HVDC link. So this is the disadvantage of the system. So even if the reactive power is required at some time in a particular area during a certain emergency condition, but the reactive power cannot be transferred from this HVDC link. For that we have to use some compensating device at this point or in this area. So blocking of the reactive power is another problem. Next is the point-to-point transmission. Point-to-point transmission, what do you mean by point-to-point transmission, bache? Just a second. Point to point transmission means that power tapping is not allowed from the DC link because we have designed the system to operate at constant current. Okay, so it is not possible. This is the configuration is of a two terminal HVDC station is like this. Suppose this is our rectifier and this is our inverter station. This three lines I'm representing, it is the three phase. It is a three phase system. This is the HVDC link and current in this link, it is constant. What we are doing, we are varying this voltage VDC. Okay, we are controlling the power by changing the voltage. Okay, so we are saying that current should be constant and this firing angles can be changed in such a manner that the power flow is controlled, and which is controlled by changing the VDC. So this is a two area power system. Though tappings can be allowed, but for taking the tappings, and these two converters, these two stations, okay, they have a control system. Okay, so if this converter should know, station should know, okay, how much power is coming from this station, and this converter should know how much power this station is receiving. Okay, so this is a two terminal station. If you want to tap the power, you cannot tap power as we are taking in case of an AC. So for tapping the power, we need another terminal, and there should be a control between all the three terminals. Suppose here I want to take a tapping power, so I'm taking a tapping here, and this is a third terminal I am using here. This is a third terminal. So and this is a called three terminal HVDC link. So the control here, we have three terminals here. Now the control here becomes complex. As you increase the number of terminals, the control system will become more and more complex. So presently, in a multi-terminal HVDC links, they are possible. Presently, only up to 3 terminal HVDC links are operational in the world. Not beyond 3 terminals, means there is no HVDC station 4 terminal HVDC link in the world. Maximum there is up to 3 terminal HVDC link, because the complexity of the control will increase. The more you increase the links, the complexity of the control system will increase. So only up to 3 terminal HVDC links are operational in the world, because cost will increase, because for this implementing the control scheme, the cost will increase. Next is the limited overload capacity. Limited overload capacity is due to the power electronic devices that we are using. So you know that these switching devices, they cannot be loaded beyond its voltage and current rating, even for a short interval of time. Even if they are loaded for a short interval of time, overloaded for a short interval of time, they will get damage. So to avoid this damage, what are we doing? Suppose we want suppose 10 okay, I will discuss it later, because I have to show what is a valve. Okay, connecting various devices, number of switches in series, it will increase the voltage rating, and connecting those in parallel will increase the current rating, and it will form a valve. So when I will reach to that point, there I will explain you. Okay, so what is the safety margin? We take 1 or 2 extra switches in the system, even so that if the system becomes overloaded for some time, it will not get damaged, because we are using extra switches there in the system. So next is huge reactive power demand at the terminal system. Though no reactive power flows in this system, but there is reactive power requirement at this station and at this station. It is because what is the power factor in power electronics? Power factor cos phi is nothing but cos alpha, where alpha is nothing but the this delay angle. So reactive power, we say reactive power is required at both the station, because we want to control the power by controlling the voltage. We want to control this voltage. Okay, by controlling the voltage, we can control the power. So for controlling the voltage, we need reactive power. Okay, so and reactive power depends upon alpha. Suppose we are delaying the firing angle, we are delaying the alpha, we are triggering the switch late. Okay, so if we are delaying the firing angle, then what will happen? We are delaying the firing angle, then alpha will increase. If alpha will increase, what will happen to cos alpha or cos phi? Cos phi will decrease. Cos phi will decrease means voltage will decrease means we need some compensation because current will increase. When power factor will decrease, current will try to increase, but we are operating at a constant current. So what will happen to VDC? VDC will decrease. So what will happen? So this to control VDC, we need some compensating devices. Okay, so we need some compensating devices to supply the reactive power at these converter stations. Okay, normally the principle is like that: if we are transferring a power of 100 megawatt, then the reactive power compensation at both the ends, 60% of the reactive power compensation is required at both the ends. Okay, for a 100 megawatt transfer, 60% reactive power sources are used at both the ends of the station. So this is huge reactive power requirement. So this was all about the advantages and disadvantages of the HVDC transmission system. So next is the types of the HVDC links. So we have three types of HVDC links. Firstly, we discussed about the categories or classifications. Now we are discussing the types. So we have a bipolar, monopolar HVDC link means one pole. Then a bipolar HVDC link means two poles. Then homopolar. Homo is again two poles but of same polarity. Okay, two poles of same polarity. So we will discuss all these type of links one by one in the next class. In case you people have any doubt, you can call me, or you can drop a message, or you can WhatsApp me. Better to WhatsApp me or call me directly. Okay. So I am seeing while during the interaction classes, nobody asked me any question. So either you are understanding everything or you are understanding nothing. So please feel free to ask questions. Thank you very much.